Good morning and welcome to the Talk of the Town. I'm Sonali Vanigapadugay. Joining me this morning is Dr. Roshan Perera, Senior Research Fellow at the Advocata Institute. Good morning and welcome, Dr. Roshan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Roshan, when we speak about Budget 2024, we have to look at it in light of the IMF program, the program of debt restructuring and macro stability. How is this year's budget different from budgets as we know them?
So I think this is a good start or a way for us to look at the budget in terms of a medium-term framework. Because in the past, I think what we have done is we have just looked at individual, annual budgets and not really placed them in this, longer-term, looking at it from a longer-term perspective. But now, because we are in this IMF program, which is a 4-year program, plus this restructuring exercise, which is also going to go on in a similar timeline, we have to position the budget 2024 within this longer macro framework. So I think that is how we should look at it, and not just as a budget for just 2024.
Last month, the first review of the IMF was concluded, and although the government had met its primary deficit targets, it fell short of its revenue targets. How does this tie in with using taxation as the primary mode of revenue generation? Because people are by now exhausted. How sustainable is it to keep on taxing the people?
So I think we need to look at the taxation from a broader lens. What has happened up to now is the taxes have been collected from a very narrow base, on a very narrow base. So if you look at any of the taxes, the big taxes like the income taxes, the value-added tax, the base on which these taxes have been collected is very, very small. And as a result, it's the same people or same companies that have been taxed over and over again, or incurred or have to pay higher taxes. So I think the budget 2024 needs to address that and try and seek to expand the base or widen the base to incorporate sectors of the economy that have not hitherto been part of the tax net. That is one. But I think we cannot only focus on the tax side. We also need to have strict expenditure management. And right now, we don't see that happening. Up to now, we have not seen that happening. So I think budget 2024 really needs to address that. Even if you look at the allocations or the appropriation bill for 2024, there doesn't seem to be much expenditure rationalization. Defense still has one of the largest allocations next to the Ministry of Finance. So that doesn't seem to have been much expenditure rationalization that has taken place.
Dr. Roshan, I'm just trying to understand, does the government take last year's budget, copy paste it and adjust it for inflation and just present it?
So it would we are not privy to the actual the budgeting process, what actually goes on, but it would seem almost like that, because we don't see a real rationalization of expenditure. So take, for example, even things like education and health, where we know, okay, expenditure has not been as high as we would like it to be, and not on par with other countries. But even within those budgets, is the expenditure going to where the impact or the impact is the highest? So has there been some kind of analysis of the expenditure even in those critical areas, so that we make sure that whatever funds are allocated go to areas where the effect and the impact on society is the highest? So I think even that kind of analysis, I don't think is done. The other thing is, we don't compare the budget, or we don't analyze the budget in terms of what are the outcomes from this expenditure. That kind of analysis is not undertaken as far as we know. But if you do that kind of outcome analysis, then you'll understand where the critical areas, or where you should be spending in the next year, or where the expenditure should go in the next year.
When we talk about a budget, we switch on our TVs and watch the Minister of Finance